Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We start our working day at Ukraine Crisis Media Center. I'm Valentin Pugachev, and I am an anchor of the Spokesman of Peaceful Life project, supported by the German Embassy. And today we are going to speak about new academic year in the ATO area, reform of secondary education at the state and local levels. School year started for all children of Ukraine, including those who live in the ATO area. And despite the situation at the front line, children should get their education. Of course, there are many problems. And the state power and local government do everything possible in order that children could study and the teachers were able to work. So we are going to speak about the reform in Donetsk region and also about education in the area. We are going to speak about Nadiya Oksenchuk. She is the Director of Education and Science Department, Donetsk Regional Civil and Military Administration, via Skype. Nadiya, do you hear us well? Yes. Good afternoon. You are given the floor. So the symbolic bell at the 1st of September was heard, and we were able to celebrate the 1st of September without shelling. We opened 579 schools, and now more than 150,000 children study. 151,000 students study now at school. Schools are ready for academic year. We prepared them well. And there are some schools in Avdiivka. I was in Avdiivka on the 1st of September, and the number of children increased. Last year, there were 600 and now 3 times more. About 1,800 students in Avdiivka schools, so the families with children return to the town. New year started with the Council of Teachers. We gathered heads of educational institutions and heads of departments of educational departments, and also deputy heads on humanitarian issues, and also there were some college representatives, and also we were attended by head of state administration Oleg Ivanovich Zhebrivsky, and also the deputy minister. And in this broad circle, we discussed the issues that are important for the education of Ukraine and education in Donbass. So we work in difficult conditions here in Donetsk, but we have good results. We have a lot of goals.
Пані Надія, розумію, пропав зв'язок.
We lost connection.
Давайте ще раз спробуємо перенабрати. Якщо буде поганий зв'язок, через телефон наберемо, добре? Пані Надія, ви знову на зв'язку. Вибачте, пропав зв'язок, можете продовжувати.
Please continue. We hear you. We are ready for reforms proposed by the ministry, and we know how to implement the concept of the new Ukrainian school. Teachers were trained, and we are ready to introduce reforms in primary education. I know this topic well. I was a primary school teacher, and I had my special of the school, and now those things that are proposed to Ukrainian schools We implemented 1996, so I have a lot of experience in the area, and we will be able to help teachers by sharing my experience. Speaking about patriotic upbringing, so it is very important in the Donetsk area, and the crisis of Ukrainian identity is especially felt here. And there is a program of patriotic education. It is innovative. These are projects. It is easy and interesting to implement the program. And we implement it at the moment. And I'm really happy that this year separate regions of Donetsk Oblast start teaching in Ukrainian. This is good, because in previous years the majority of schools used the Russian language, and now new Ukrainian school educate children in Ukrainian. Do you have the exact number of schools that were transferred to Ukrainian language study? Maguski, Volnovasky region, and separate different schools in Donetsk. I mean the number, the general number in Donetsk. Do you have the 58% of the general number? Please continue. Maybe questions, and I can tell you about the project. It is supported by community, teachers, parents, the topic of base schools. So we have 21 of such schools, and we will increase this number. Each United Territorial Community should have its own base school. Now it is 21, but we will have more. The number of community, maybe 43, depending on the implementation of plan. Base school envisages the basic things, but also it should be bright, well equipped. There should be resources. So there should be many resources involved. So there should be equipment for the there should be room for sports facilities, the equipment for physics and study and chemistry studies, and a lot should have. We should change a lot to. And now the teachers are trained, and in October we'll have the third stage of training of these teachers in order to change approaches to teach them how to implement innovations. So this is what we do. So now I start questions about base schools.
Can you tell us what does it mean at base school for our audience, and to specify the number of the base schools that have already been established according to the Cabinet of Ministers resolution and the order of the Ministry of Education? A base school is a legal entity, separate entity. It has its own accounts with banks. It is an independent entity. Base school should have at least 3 branches. Branch schools, they are either elementary schools, the 1st through 3rd grade, or the middle school. Also, this could be an educational complex. Elementary and middle school together. What will be the result? This is the optimization of the system of educational institutions and the new approach to providing a high quality education to school children. 21 schools have already been established as base schools. 25 millions or more, sometimes even 60 millions hryvnias are spent for their facilities. Do you plan to establish new such schools by the end of the year? They are in the period of repair and overhaul, because this is overhaul and sometimes even reconstruction of facilities. These works are now in the process and they will be finished by the start of the next academic year. And there are legislative grounds also why this is not so fast. The process is regulated by the legislation, and it is not easy to get money fast. The schools will be open next year. They will be already overhauled, and the teachers also will be specially trained. We plan in 2017 communities will add their schools, because they understand that such schools are a must. This would be more than 21 schools. I can't say whether it would be 30 schools. I don't know a specific number. It depends on the funds which will be provided. Well, I would like to specify a full-fledged launch of base schools will happen next year. In Ilinivka, in the outskirts of Oksenchuk, one base school has already been established, as far as I understand. No, it is not so. I hope that the Ilinivka school will become the first school, I hope, the first base school. We have enough facilities there. And the last question about the base schools: when they will be open, there will be school buses for children to travel there. What about the purchases, whether they have been completed? The purchases, the procurement is ongoing. We have already received funds, and the bidding procedures are now on the way. Our district administrations, they are responsible for bidding procedures and for procurement of those buses. Sometimes they say that they need 2 buses but not 1, so we adjust to their needs. Returning to the first part of your speech, you told us how many schools are in operation in Donetsk region and how many school children are taught there. How many of those children are IDPs? The number of IDPs is flexible and they migrate. Last year we had one figure and this year we have another figure. This figure has been changing. I can't say you a specific figure. And what about dynamics? It has been increasing. The number of pupils has been decreasing. We had 600 school children last year, and now they returned, and we accepted 1,800 children. who returned to their homes, who had lived in other regions last year. As concerns IDPs matter, people from different regions, they came and they asked our IDPs what are their needs. They try to adapt in the communities, and I think that the notion of IDPs will disappear soon. Thank you, Nadiya. As concerns the number of schools and number of school children, we understand you. And as concerns higher education institutions, how many do you have and how many students are studies there. Higher educational institutions are subordinated to the Ministry of Education. There are 10 of them in the Donetsk region, and there are also institutions which have moved from the occupied territories. We don't know the figure of students, how many of them study this year. 200 persons from the occupied territories, they study in our higher education institutions, and we are very happy about this. But the data, statistical data, they are not yet ready. If we want to quote the sources, the data will be ready by 10th of September. And what about the children in Donetsk region which live in the occupied territories but who study in Ukrainian schools in remote mode in order so that they have the opportunity to enter Ukrainian higher education institutions? We have so-called gray zones, some villages and towns at the contact line. We should say that today there is one school there, and most of children, 8,000 children, almost 8,000 children study there, and they have special needs, and we pay special attention to them. We still have the problem with Hud School, Zhola village, and Mayorsk town, and Bakhmutka. We have also such problems where school children do not study, or they study in the occupied territories in their schools. And this year we also face the challenges like this, and the achievements of volunteers and our departments of education, that the children from those towns and villages which I mentioned, from Bakhmutka in particular, they now study at Ukrainian schools, not in the occupied territories, and they can get Ukrainian education. As concerns occupied territories, of course, from the very beginning, we thought what to do with those children who now live in the occupied territories. Sometime, of course, the territories will be joined and united with Ukraine, but what to do now? So we organized remote learning. This challenge we face, this is life which made us to resolve this challenge, and the remote mode of education is now a systematic one, a systematic approach. We have a website. Last year, the approach was not systemic. 1,800 children studied in remote mode, and this year 2,500 children undergo studies in the remote distance mode. And this year, children can register with base schools. Next year, they will have such opportunity. We already have subjects and curriculum and teachers for those base schools. This will be the system soon in October. We will have a workshop where higher educational institutions of the Ministry of Education will provide trainers to provide training on remote mode of education. I have one more question, and then we'll give the floor to our audience for the questions. How the security in educational institutions is preserved? Of course, this is the issue number one, security of population of school children. So different structures work are responsible for this. Departments of education and international institutions help us. We have very good cooperation with them, with the various educational clusters and the UN and different services which are responsible for security of the citizens. Yes, we carry out such activities in some districts which are close to the contact line. There are plans of evacuation that have already been developed, and the population has been made aware of those plans. The people know what to do in the event of emergency, and we are thank you. Nadiya, are there any questions from our audience? You are welcome. Sergey Malenchuk, UCMC, could you tell us, please? There are some fears in Mariupol, for example, that the base schools, if they are established, this would result in the cutting of financing of other schools, and then gifted pupils from the high school, they will outflow from the region. I would not say that this is the phenomenon. This is the phenomenon of high-quality education, approach to high-quality education. The reforms are proposed by our life and by the ministry, and the educational circles of Ukraine have agreed to support this reform, and they envisage these changes. So to launch reforms and to state that we are already capable to provide very high level of education, it is impossible, but we should start. You know that the base schools, we declared more schools, the larger number than the ministry envisaged. Base schools, they were proposed for villages, small villages where up under 25 pupils study. Yeah, there are such schools, but when we have a base school, children are brought there by buses and they can get higher quality services than they can get in their village schools. Well, problems still are abundant in Donetsk region. We went further. We extended the definition of base schools and we decided to establish a base school in each community. If we conduct overhauls of facilities in such base schools so that we can provide high quality education for high school children, we think of how they will enter universities, and each base schools may have 3 or more branches, and we plan for 2017-18 repairs of those branch schools and also filling them with resources as they may need. Of course, schools now are very poor, and teachers which will be working in the base school, they are trained and they will become agents of changes. What does it mean? This is the one who has been trained, and as a trainer will train others. So the quality will not be decreasing. In Mariupol is a very big city and there are very many schools there and very many base schools will be established there. We will work with them as well. Thank you very much, Nadiya. We have one more question. This would be the final one. I have the final question. Do you know something about that Russian higher educational institutions diplomas issued in the so-called DPR? They are invalid, and what to do, what those school children can do which would like to enter Ukrainian higher education institutions. Yes, the Ministry of Education paid attention to this matter. It was a little bit later than the preparation started for independent evaluation for passing this educational exams, independent evaluation. They they visited us and they passed separate exams, and they can enter Ukrainian educational higher institution either by independent evaluation or by special tests which were added. So every child who wanted to enter the higher education institution, they were provided such opportunity. And you know that in higher education institutions youth studies but not children, and they are ready to adult life, and this is their decisions of those young but adult already people. This is their decision to decide whether to get Russian diplomas which are not recognized in the world, or Ukrainian diplomas. It was Nadiya Oksenchuk, Director of Department of Education and Science with Donetsk Military and Civil Administration by Skype. Thank you very much, Ms. Oksenchuk. We wish you every success and I hope to see you soon. I think that together, by our united efforts, we will win. Thank you, dear colleagues, for listening to us. The next event under the spokesman of Peaceful Life Project.